Developing your parenting plan. That was basically the main topic of the live stream last night, and I wanted to take a little moment to go into a little bit more detail because I think this is a really important topic, especially early on in this process. I mean, part of the problem is when we're going through these situations in the beginning, we're dealing with all these emotions and stress and anxiety and fears, and we're having to make some of the most important decisions that are gonna set the stage for the rest of our lives, trying to deal with this. So developing your parenting plan is critically important whenever you first start out. And part of the problem is your parenting plan is going to be very complicated and complex. It may not seem like it really is going to be that way. And you could fall into the trap that I did, that it's like, okay, well, let's cover a few things. This really isn't going to stay stupid for that long, so it's all going to work out. So it's not really that important because it's just giving us a basic rough framework, and then we'll move forward. Now, if you're in a situation where you're not dealing with a toxic person or you're not dealing with somebody who has an issue, then that could be true, right? You could develop a basic framework for a parenting plan, and you're going to coordinate. You're going to co-parent. You're going to be able to communicate. You'll be able to compromise, and you'll be able to do all those things that should happen in a normal situation dealing with normal people. However, when you're dealing with toxic people or dealing with somebody who has either strong narcissistic characteristics or potentially has narcissistic personality disorder or borderline personality disorder, that's not the case. The problem is those problems will remain through the duration. I've talked to many people who are 10 to 15 years into their divorce, and the same crazy, silly stuff that was happening at the beginning is still happening now. Okay, so that being said, developing a really good parenting plan is critically important. Now, the thing is you need to think about all the scenarios that are important to you. Now, I'm not saying that you need to freak yourself out and you need to, to get yourself into this, oh my God, scenario about what's going to happen. What I'm saying is you need to take an objective view, a calm, rational view at your situation, and really determine what is important to you, like summer vacations, holidays, birthdays, anything that's important to you. For instance, in my situation, my birthday and my ex's birthday is 3 days apart. Now, the court order is written that both of us get to spend our birthday with the kids. Well, the problem is that if in my situation, now if I want to do some vacation time around my birthday, now I can't, because now I have to be able to come back or be in the area so that the kids can see their mom on their birthday, which is fine. That's what I've done. I've just made a point to make sure I didn't do anything. And that really has been my situation on this, is everything that I didn't think about, that I'm kind of caught into a bind, I've decided I'm not going to fight or argue or try to reason with the ex or try to make some accommodations, because it's just not worth it. So it's like, okay, this is my situation, this is my scenario, this is what I have to live with, and I just deal with it. If you can think about this in the beginning stages and you can take steps and add it into your plan, then you can mitigate that. For instance, had I thought about it, I should have said that, and I'll talk about this in a moment about even and odd years, but on the years where I take priority, or whoever takes priority gets to choose, gets their birthday time, right? I mean, that way it would have made it to where it doesn't complicate it. So that's something I didn't think about, right? The same thing about if there's vacation that's important. Now, here's the thing. If, let's say, some vacation trips take a long time to plan. Anybody who's done any type of actual vacation where you plan it, you cannot plan it in 30 to 45 days. You just can't. You have to have more time to get hotels, to get campgrounds, to get airplane tickets. I mean, whatever it is you're planning on doing. If you don't have scenarios written in there to where you can accomplish that, you're gonna have a problem. Now, in my situation, we wrote in 30 days. We will, set, you'll do the schedule in 30 days. Well, that means on the years that she has a priority, which we did do a priority where each, every year somebody else has a priority. Like this last summer, this particular one, I had a priority. So whatever date I picked, if she had the similar date, my date trumps her date. Next year, it'll be completely opposite. Whatever her date would trump my date, right? So that means every other year, if I have some long-term planning thing I need to do, I can do that. But had I not done that, or let's say I was trying to do that before, it would do that without, on a year that's her priority. If she picked the date, what do, right? I mean, if you've already secured reservations and hotel rooms and campgrounds and like all the other stuff I was talking about, you're kind of stuck. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, the next phase on this is trying to make everything as clear as possible. What you don't really want, and this is going to be hard to get around, is having something being open for interpretation. Now, I've talked about them, and I'll make this really brief. I've talked about in my scenario for that first Christmas that she had the kids, the first Christmas I had the kids, the next Christmas she had the kids. And it started out where she hadn't read the court order, and she's like, hey, I get the kids from the start, end of school on the vacation and for the entire vacation, which I've talked about before, is turns out to be 24 to 25 days, depending on who has them the week before and all that kind of stuff. So the problem is so she's like, hey, I have the kids. I get them out of school on Wednesday. We're leaving the state on Thursday, which was like a week and a half or whatever before Christmas. And I'm like, the court order says I get to see the kids. And the court order did say, the court order said on the even and odd years, on even years, this person gets the kids from the start of vacation till the end of vacation. The caveat is the other parent gets to see the kids for a few hours on Christmas Day as mutually agreed. Her opinion on that was mutually agreed means that we both had to agree to it. She didn't agree to it, so that means I didn't get to see the kids for Christmas, and she was leaving. Now, what I did on that is I basically fought her for about 3 weeks through a very slow, at that period of time, I wasn't responding rapidly. The first one I responded instantly, but then I made a point to make sure I waited a day or two before I responded. And it basically went back and forth with, I don't agree, you don't agree, back and forth. And where I basically said, look, if you leave and you take the kids out of state and you're violating a court order, I'm going to call the cops and say that you've kidnapped the kids or something silly along those lines. And fortunately, she finally backed off. And what ended up happening is they got up Christmas Day. I actually agreed. I got tricked, actually, because I wanted to see the kids Christmas Day. I agreed to see them on Christmas Eve, to do my Christmas on Christmas Eve, and she could leave. And my God, she took that. So I saw the kids on Christmas Eve. She got them up Christmas Day, early in the morning, loaded them all in the car, and drove to the Midwest from California. My point is that try to think about, when you're writing this thing up, what can be misconstrued? What is open for interpretation? What isn't really clear? I should have said, and that instead of said mutually agreed, it should have said, what would have even been better is if I would have wrote in the time. The other parent gets to see the kids from this time to this time on Christmas Day. Or the other parent gets to see the kids on Christmas Day, right? If that's not important to you, don't fight it. It was important to me. I was really worried, and I know the kids on that first year, they were really worried they weren't going to get to see both of us. And from my mind, it was more about the kids than about, all the other stuff. But that's what I'm talking about. Other people, it's like, hey, you have the kids Christmas, go do whatever you want. It's fine. I'll have them next year. If that's okay with you, that's fine. Again, it's what is important to you. So I talked already a little bit about the alternating priority. I think it's really important to write something like that in there to where somebody's schedule trumps the other person's schedule every other year, or, that you would have priority every other year. Because if there is something that's really important to you, you want to be able to make sure that they don't mess it up. Now, I'll tell you, they're probably still going to try to mess it up. If you followed this channel from before over the summer, I talked a little bit about that with some of the coordination we were trying to do for the vacation that we had with the kids early on. And she did an outstanding job of trying to lay bombs and traps, and it did cause problems, but it wasn't, we were able to negotiate around it. So, the other thing that you need to remember is, even if everything is laid out, you have, like I was just talking about, you have everything laid out and everything is written out, expect that they're going to try to do something to mess it up. Just like I was talking about this year with my vacation, She was trying to create extra drama, create stress and anxiety. And had we had something significantly planned, had we had a trip planned, or had we had, if we were going to, not that we're going to Hawaii, but if we were going, well, let me be more realistic. Let's say we were going to do a camping trip. Camping trips are relatively inexpensive, but typically to get a camping spot, at least in California, you have to do that like 6 months in advance. So had we had a plan and had it all set up, had it all laid out, had all the money invested in it, you guys already know if you've been watching this channel, that got torpedoed. Fortunately, I was able to move around what we were going to do, so I mitigated the impact. But they're going to do stuff like that. So finally, and this is the last thing I'll leave you with, is choosing your battles. You really have to decide, is it really important to fight? Like for instance, that Christmas thing. Let's say that she had decided to really push it. Was I going to fight it? Was that really something that I would have taken her back to court on? Honestly, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I think I was so angry and frustrated at the time that had she tried to leave, I probably would have tried to do something. And now I understand what would have happened. I didn't have to do that. But I know that the law enforcement, police officers, unless it was a kidnapping, and to be perfectly honest, it's not it's a minor little discrepancy in a family court order. They would have said, this isn't a criminal matter, it's family court, you need to go back to family court. So you need to understand what is really important to fight and what you're going to gain out of it. And the last little caveat on that is you also have to think about what you can win and what you can't win. And the reason I say that is because if you fight something and you really double down on it, you really go for it, and you lose, it's two things. One, if it's important enough to you to where you need to fight and you need to at least try, that's one thing. The other thing is if you fight it and they win, there is a potential that you can basically cause them to feel more emboldened, more entitled, more untouchable with what's going on. So, you got to be careful. You got to be careful with that. So if you have some issues that you've been having with your parenting plan and you want to talk about it, add it in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. And if you haven't done so, zip on over to the Dad Surviving Divorce website, sign up for the newsletter, where I send out, there's some things I put in the background, not in the background, that I don't put on the web or on the YouTube channel or basically on the website, but that I'll send directly to people who sign up for that about different things that are going on and different perspectives. If you're interested in that, zip on over to the website, sign up for that, and I don't share it with anybody or anything like that. So it's just an internal mailing list for the Dad Surviving Divorce channel. So on that, hopefully you're having a great day, and I will chat with you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye.